welcome back to another video. I thought in today's video we would compare kind of a cheaper brand oil paint to a much more expensive oil paint. Now don't get me wrong, I do not have the most expensive oil paints. I have Winsor & Newton Winton oil paints, which I think I don't think they're their student grade, I think they're their higher grade oil colours, but don't get me wrong, I'm not 100% sure, so don't quote me on that one. But these are the best oil paints I have. I have those, and I also have kind of a mid-range, which is these Rowney Georgian oil paints, which I believe these are student grade. So I'm going to try not to use these. I'm going to try predominantly to use these Winsor & Newton paints. So that will be our higher tier oil paints. And then the lower tier oil paints are these Rowney kind of just cheap tubes of oil paint. So I think you can get a set of 24 of these for £10 or something ridiculous, whereas one of these will set you back a few pounds per tube. So that's what I kind of want to compare. I have a reference photo of a boat, and I just thought I'll paint with the more expensive ones on the top here and the less expensive on the bottom here. I'm going to try and use the same colours where I can, so if I can't find the same colour, I may change the colour slightly so that we can compare colours directly with one another. And I just thought it'd be really fun to see what the differences are, kind of the quality, or whether you can really produce a decent quality painting with a lower grade supply. So that was my premise for this video. Let's just get into it and see what we can produce. So straight off the bat, we have a very different set of colours here. So the blue looks very similar, the yellow looks very similar, the red, I think the closest I could get, this is a crimson red here, and this is a cadmium red. The cadmium's a little bit more orange on the orange side, but I think just adding a little bit of orange to a bit of this orange to this red will kind of bring them to a similar tone, but that's as close as I could get them with the colours I had. The orange, this is just called orange. The cheap colours don't really have proper names. This is just called orange. This is actually a cadmium yellow deep hue, so it's a yellow but with a very orange tone, so as you can see it's a lot lighter, but again that's as close as I could get. Obviously black. The only thing close to white I had in the cheaper oils was cream, it was called, which just looks like an off-white, and then I have white in the more expensive colours. So I think I'm just going to sketch it out and just go in with the colours. It's not going to be a perfect piece. I just want to compare the quality and see where we get up to with it, and just see how they fare against one another. They could look very similar, they could look very different. We will not know until we've tried it. So let's get into that. this is the finished result. So in terms of comparison, let's run through a few things. So obviously I drew these both very badly, they're very different, so just ignore the fact that they look completely different in shape and perspective, but it was actually quite difficult to get the perspective of that boat. So as you can see, this we have a lot brighter yellows but a lot duller in colour here, so I found that the cheaper oils kind of became too watery. Even when I didn't mix any mediums into them, they were very thin, so I couldn't really cover it was very streaky, and I couldn't really cover things quite how I wanted them, and then it was really hard to get a clean colour. So obviously oils don't dry very much, so you can overlay colour and blend and mix, etc. That's the beauty of them. However, that's great if you can overlay a colour. So like up here, the grey here, I darkened that quite a bit and then I overlaid some lighter grey and it went on perfectly fine, and it was able to kind of produce that nice light grey colour. But this cheaper oils, just I couldn't get it. It was just mixing, it was becoming too muddy, I couldn't get crisp lines, it just wasn't working for me how I wanted to. And as you can see with the reds as well, they're not as bright, they're not as popping. And likewise with this yellow background, the pigment in the paint just wasn't mixing to the colours I wanted. It's like, although I tried to use similar colours, they just weren't coming out how I wanted them. I was really giving them the best chance I really could, because I wanted them to work. However, having said all of that, I wouldn't say that a cheaper oil is bad. I think it's really good to help you start working, to start practicing with oils, and I would say as a beginner medium it's perfect. And you know, a pack of 10 for £5 odd or £10, you know, isn't half bad. And I think if you are just starting out and you want to try out oils, it's a perfect place to start, 100%. And then as you get a bit better, as you get a bit more confident, or you're enjoying them and you want to explore them more, I suggest going for the mid-range or the higher end oils, because they do make a difference, but it's not necessary. I mean, if you can get a range of colours so you don't have to mix so much, I think a cheaper oil would be better, because let's be honest, I did limit my palette quite a bit to try and match the colours, and I think if you had a bigger palette, perhaps that would work fine. So I've really enjoyed this, and it's really been nice to jump back into oils, and I really want to start doing more oil paintings. I think it might be something you see more on my channel, so if you do want to see that, please give me a thumbs up, comment down below kind of what subjects you want to see me paint in oils. I think more wildlife would be my forte. However, I did enjoy doing this, so thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one.